and then restart the stream. So this is what I'm currently writing. So if you guys want to ask me some questions regarding the book, regarding astronomy, I'm all down for a little Q&A about it. Hopefully we get some people after I restarted the live stream. We can get more viewers, we can pick it up. But yeah, come in. It's free to come in. Please come in. Sorry about that. So basically, what I'm currently writing is the 6th chapter of book. So I'm kind of researching the different topics of what went on at that time period. So we're in 1961. This is 6 weeks after Yuri Gagarin became the very first human to go to space and successfully did a spacewalk for 108 minutes. And then this is the period where the United States was so behind in the space race against the Soviet Union. Basically, the Soviet Union just continuously outsmarting us into getting people into space, getting stuff into space. You know, we had starting with Yuri Gagarin. Starting with the first mammal, the first dog in space. Yuri Gagarin became the first human. We had the dark-skinned person because Cuba was part of communism at the time. We had lots of other instruments became the first things to go into space, and then we just kept getting outsmarted by the Soviet Union. And then eventually in 1969, 1968 was the successful Apollo 8, 1968, and then basically Apollo 11, 1969, and then he continuously with the Apollo missions, and then the last Apollo mission, 1972. But yeah, so this is kind of what's going on right now because we're in the 1961. We're getting into JFK's joint session of Congress 6 weeks after Yuri Gagarin. And basically, this is where the dream happens of sending the first humans to walk the moon. So yeah. So you guys like let's see, May 25th, 1961. 6 weeks after alright, so comment, guys, if you guys have any. Come, you guys have any. Yeah, comment if you guys have any questions related to the topics of space. Hello, Enrique. Enrique, what's up, Enrique? Enrique. Yeah, what's up, Enrique? Come in, come hang out. Just come in the session when they're just writing my book. Asking questions about space, just learning about this kind of stuff in general. Yeah, if you guys want to answer questions about the book, you guys can. So yeah, start firing away asking questions. So 6 weeks after you read a galaxy, this means John F. Kennedy. And these are also these topics. I'm just having to just go on Google, research some of this topic about the joint session of comets and everything that happened in that general area. Usually also I do have the script on my YouTube channel, which I actually just winged it, and this basically gave you guys the script for that one video that I made about the history of the space race, where we talk about basically just the entire history and why we went to it in the first place. And I'm going to probably use the quotes in the actual speech itself, because it's one of the important highlights from the joint session comments. Also, this is also the time period of Bay of Kids too. Yeah, May 25th. Let's see. But the events of recent weeks was an inclusion. Yes. Let's see. Please go run away. Like, yeah, we're gonna do a Q&A as well as I'm kind of just researching the topics that I'm using to write the book. I'm kind of just writing the manuscript for it. Alright, so basically this right here is what I have. So basically on May 25th, 1961, on May 20... Dang it, I need to take that out. On May 25th, 1961, just 6 weeks after Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit around the Earth, President John F. Kennedy addressed the joint session of Congress and delivered one of the most consequential speeches in history of space exploration, concerned with the series of Soviet triumphs in the space race, including the launch of Sputnik in 1957 and Gagarik's historic flight aboard Vostok 1. Kennedy argued that the United States needed to commit itself to a bold objective that would demonstrate American technological and specific leadership. In his address, Kennedy challenged the nation to achieve what many considered the impossible at the time: landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth before the end of the decade. The announcement transformed the American space program in the modest effort into a national priority, leading to a massive investment in rocket technology, engineering, and scientific research. I'm going to take that part out. Yeah, basically all you need to know is also you have to realize that the 1960s wasn't very tumultuous time. Is when you had the entire globe was just a mess. You had political issues, you had the rising tensions between the United States, the Soviet Union, you had the Bay of Pig, you had the missile crisis, you had basically segregation, you had the hot war in Vietnam getting its peak, and again you had the space race on top of that, and then all the troubles that was going on during the space race. You had to realize that the majority of that decade of the 1960s, we were far behind. And trying to get people into space and try to get people to the moon. And that was a very hard thing to do, to get people into space. We were trying to develop the technology, but there was a lot of failure. And we were just outsmarted because the Soviet Union sent the first human into space, and then we followed. But guess what? We were way behind there because the Soviet Union already beat us to it. Yeah. Yeah, basically it was just a tumultuous time in the 1960s. Yeah, getting outsmarted because, again,
we were trying to develop the technology, and it just kept crashing and burning. And then, just when we sent Yuri Gary in '61 when the Soviet Union, um, and then after all of that, we just got outsmarted, we were just left behind. And then 1969, we had the Apollo program. We had Apollo 1 that when it lifted off, the hatch forgot to close, and then basically Gus Grissom, Apollo. Alright, so Gus Grissom, Edward White, Roger B. Chaffee was in the space shuttle, and then the test cabin broke, and basically a fire broke out inside the command module due by high pressure pure oxygen